Hey everyone, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something that affects literally millions of lives, but honestly, it's so wildly misunderstood. We're talking about the hidden mechanics of the child support system. We're going to look way past the surface level rumors and actually dig into the data, the specific statutes, and what really goes down behind closed doors in family law. We are unpacking the exact machinery at play here, so buckle up because it is a fascinating ride. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll quickly cover the child support shock, the hidden incentive system, administrative versus judicial courts, debunking internet myths, the power of custody, and finally, courtroom preparation. Section 1, the child support shock. To really get how the system works, we kind of have to look at how a case usually starts, which is often a total blindside for parents. Take the story of advocate TJ Tillman. He actually discovered a default judgment was entered against him for a child conceived when he was literally 12 years old. No way, right? The craziest part is he didn't even know the case existed until 7 years later when his employer suddenly started garnishing his wages. Because he missed initial legal notices he never actually received, the system just presumed his consent. So this brings us to a huge question. How does the child support system actually work behind closed doors? Like, how can a life-altering financial judgment just happen without you even knowing or participating? To get that, we have to strip away the emotional side of family court and look directly at the structural, financial incentives running the whole machine. Section 2, the hidden incentive system. When most of us think of child support, we picture a neutral judge making a completely fair call, right? Well, there's actually a hidden layer of state funding you need to know about. Enter Title 4D. It's this provision from the Federal Social Security Act. Originally, it was set up to recover money the government was paying out in welfare benefits. To pull that off, Title 4D actually reimburses and incentivizes state agencies to collect child support and establish paternity. So state child support enforcement agencies are literally operating under a specific federally incentivized mandate. $735 million. Just let that number sink in for a second. Based on federal data from our sources, that represents the performance incentive payments allocated to states for fiscal year 2025. This is basically federal bonus money handed to state agencies purely based on how aggressively and efficiently they perform their Title 4D duties. It is a massive pool of capital driving how these states act. Now, out of that massive chunk of change, advocates point out something super interesting. Only about $30 million is specifically allocated to training judges and attorneys. The vast majority, like 96%, funds other state operations. Impartially speaking here, critics of the system point right at this funding structure and say, hey, that's a systemic conflict of interest. The argument is that when courts are funded by the exact same system prosecuting the cases, the whole idea of a completely neutral, fair trial gets pretty compromised. So how exactly do states unlock this federal money? Well, they're graded on 5 very specific performance metrics. First, establishing legal paternity. Second, getting formal support orders in place. Third, collecting current support due. Fourth, collecting past due support, which we call arrears. And fifth, the overall cost efficiency of the state agency itself. A state's cut of that federal cash depends on how they score here compared to other states. This completely explains why administrative agencies move with such relentless speed, especially on paternity and arrears. I mean, they are quite literally graded and funded on it. Section 3, administrative versus judicial courts. All right, one of the biggest things that trips parents up is not realizing there are 2 totally different arenas here. First, you have administrative courts. These are often run by the Department of Revenue or a state agency. They're built for pure speed, run on legal presumptions, and are designed to efficiently triage cases to hit those federal metrics we just talked about. But then you have actual circuit or judicial courts. These are the formal courts where constitutional due process actually applies, where real judges preside and where you have the absolute right to conduct formal discovery and cross-examine evidence. The real danger with that administrative side, it relies heavily on presumption. If they mail you a notice and you don't respond, maybe it got lost, maybe you moved, or maybe you just shoved it in a drawer, they don't just drop the case. They presume your silence is your consent. As our sources really emphasize, ignoring administrative paperwork often leads straight to an automatic default judgment that legally establishes your paternity and sets aggressive financial obligations without you ever opening your mouth. Section 4, debunking internet legal myths. When people feel trapped in this fast-moving system, they usually panic and hit the internet. You've probably seen these easy legal hacks online, right? Stuff like demand financial documents from your ex, and when they refuse, file a motion to compel, then file for contempt, and boom, ask the judge to dismiss your case. It sounds like an amazing proactive strategy, doesn't it?
Well, hold on a second. That internet strategy relies on a huge, totally flawed assumption that the other parent's income actually matters to the court. Family law attorney Kyle Kaufman points this out perfectly. He says unless you formally share equal physical placement of the child, the custodial parent's income is often completely irrelevant to a judge who's using state percentage standards to calculate support. If their income doesn't matter for the math, a judge is never going to force them to hand over documents, and they are definitely not dismissing your case over it.
Section 5. The power of custody. Okay, so if TikTok hacks won't save you, what actually gives you leverage? The answer is legally recognized physical custody. But we need to hit on a harsh reality here. A lot of parents assume that if their kid comes to live with them full-time, the child support order just magically turns off. It doesn't. Under federal rules like the Bradley Amendment, every single missed payment turns into a rock-solid judgment the day it's due. Simply having the kids sleep under your roof doesn't erase your arrears or stop the financial clock. A court absolutely must formally recognize the placement change. If you don't officially document it, you still owe the money.
So how do we turn this into an actual defensive strategy? Based on the attorneys in our sources, if you are ever served by a state administrative agency, here are the exact steps you should take. Step 1, send a certified letter formally objecting within their given time frame, usually about 20 days. Step 2, explicitly demand your case be moved to the circuit court where you get actual due process. And step 3, formally file a petition for joint or equal physical custody. Physical custody is the real legal metric that dictates child support.
Section 6. Preparing for the courtroom. All right, so you've bypassed the administrative triage and secured a hearing in a proper judicial court. How do you actually get the judge on your side? It's all about preparation. Judges are evaluating you the absolute second you walk through the doors. They are not looking for you to vent or show anger. As our sources emphasize, the parent who wins is the one who shows up with highly organized documents in a folder, keeps a totally calm demeanor, sticks purely to facts instead of emotions, respects the process, and dresses like they respect the court. Preparation is, without a doubt, your best defense. And when we say preparation, we mean concrete proof. Bring the receipts. If you want a judge to formally agree your child lives with you, or if you want credit for expenses you've paid, your feelings just aren't going to cut it. You need printed, undeniable evidence. We're talking school enrollment docs with your specific home address, medical records, leases, utility bills, and even printed text messages acknowledging the living situation. If you can't prove it on a piece of paper, the court literally cannot credit you for it. We have covered a ton of ground today, peeling back the layers from federal incentives all the way down to organizing your courtroom binder. So I want to leave you with this provocative thought. Now that you actually know the hidden, structured mechanics of the child support system, how will you reclaim your agency in family court? Yes, the system is incredibly complex, but it runs on rules, and understanding those rules is your ultimate power. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Stay organized, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.